Okay, it's Dan Young here, and today we're going to go through a Logic Pro 9 tutorial. This is your first tutorial that you'll definitely need, so this is all about getting started, how to use Logic, and hopefully this will help. So without further ado, let's open up Logic Pro 9 and we can see what happens. I'm going to go through a few bits and bobs today, for example recording and editing MIDI, recording and editing audio, a little bit of mixing, a few tips, and bouncing down. Okay, so we need to open up a new project. So we're going to click on empty project. There is lots of different templates here that you can use that might help you in the future, but for today's example we're going to click on empty project, and straight away it loads up a window. Now, you can either have audio tracks, software instrument tracks, and external MIDI tracks. Now, audio tracks are for your microphones and stuff that you're going to record in. Software instruments are for your instruments within Logic, so your sound presets, and your external MIDI is like your external keyboards. If you've got sounds on that you would like to use, you would use external MIDI to hook that up. So for this example we're going to click on software instrument because we want to use the recording MIDI. I'm going to start off with explaining how to record MIDI. Okay, so on the right hand side here we've got the media window. We've got all the different instruments here. So for example we've got a Yamaha Piano Studio, we've got guitars, we've got electric guitars, there's tons of different ones there. Or you've got orchestral, there is loads, drums. For now we're just going to click on a standard piano. Now there is a few ways that you can record in. I'm going to show you these. So you can record in via your Mac keyboard. It sounds silly, but you actually can. If you click the caps lock, it comes up with a little weird keyboard thing, like what's on the screen. Now, if you just click a button, hopefully you guys can hear that. That is actually the piano coming from your Logic keyboard. So obviously you can hit in and record all the different tracks depending on what you want to do. So you can record in via that, or if you've got an external MIDI keyboard, maybe a USB MIDI keyboard that you want to use, then you can record with that if you've got it hooked up correctly to Logic. But for now we're just going to use the keyboard built into my Mac. So how do we now record? So we've selected our sound that we want to use. As simple as, all you want to do is click the record button down on the transport bar down here, and you've got metronome click. Depending if you want that on, you change your metronome down there or turn it off there. So we don't want it on for this example, so let's just hold on a second and we will record in a melody line. Okay, and then either spacebar to stop, or you can press the stop button. Turn caps lock off again to get rid of the window. Okay, so now this is your recording in, so let's just listen back. Okay, so let's say I'm happy with that. So you can either double click, or you can go down and click the piano roll. Let's just make this a little bit bigger, easier to see. Okay, so this is the individual notes that I've just recorded in. Oops, don't want to do that. So, as you can see, if I was to actually make these bigger, these are off beat. For example, here you can see there is a gap the note starts there and the beat is there. So an easy way to fix this is a method called quantization. So if you used to highlight everything, go to this little box here, it says quantize value, and here you choose the quantized value that you'd like to use. So for example, you could use 1 1 notes, you can use 1 1/8 notes, you can use 1 16th notes, depending on what you want to do. So for this example, I'm just going to click 1 16th notes, and as you can see, if I was just to go back, you can see they actually move. So then if you used to listen to it now, it sounds a little bit more realistic. Another cool little feature that Logic has is the velocity tool. If you used to click over here, you've got a button called velocity, and now if you can see via your cursor, you've got a little V. That just means that the velocity tool is on. So if you used to click on the note, bring it purple for very quiet. So velocity is how loud and how quiet you would want the note. So red is obviously as loud as you can, purple is low, so you can basically, I'll just quickly do a little, and now listen. So now you've got a little bit of dynamics control over your MIDI entry that you've just done. Also, there's a nice and easy things. If we were just to go and put the pointer tool back on, you can move the notes exactly where you want. If you think that's out of time, that note should be there. That note should be there. You can literally drag notes to where you want to make it sound better. There we go, that's now how I want the arrangement, and you've basically just changed it. So you have got your keyboard recording, and you've also got the pencil tool. If you used to go back over here and onto the top right and click on the pencil tool, and as you can see now, the cursor has changed to a pencil. And basically, this is now recording in all your notes. So obviously you've got your keyboard up here. So say I want an E, I want a B, and I want that could be a chord, for example. And obviously you can change the velocity, you can quantize that, you can do everything that I've just shown you how to do. So now that is nice and simple. MIDI is really easy to use. It's great. Okay, we're going to move on now to recording audio and editing audio. This is very helpful to you guys if you want to record vocals, want to record guitar, want to record anything that you have. This will be very helpful for you guys. So if we click on the plus and open up a new track, okay, we're going to click on how many tracks we want. Well, we only want one. So how you have your audio set up, that's obviously down to you with a little audio interface or anything like that. So we're going to choose the input to be 1, the output I'd like to be 1 and 2, and then we're going to click create. Okay, we're just going to get rid of the little MIDI track. Close down that. Okay, so this is now my audio track. In the inspector window over here, you've got all the little different ideas. So obviously you've got I/O, you've got your ins and your outs. So obviously your input 1 is going to be what input do you have, and output your stereo out, or output 3 and 4, or in my case I can have 4 different outputs. So we're just going to leave it as stereo out. We're also going to now have a look at the mixer window. Obviously the blue track is the audio track, the output, and then you've got your master level. These two normally stay at 0, and obviously once you've recorded you can adjust to how loud or to how quiet your you would like your track to be. So without further ado, let's click the record button. It's going to ask me to save the track because we're recording. So let's just save it, test, and click save. So now you can see we've got the record flashing, and now you can see with my voice that it's now going up and down every time I speak. So now we're just going to record a little bit of audio just to show you. Okay guys, this is just a little bit of a test. Hopefully this is going well. Thank you. Okay, so that's the audio I've had. I'm happy with that audio. I think it's great. Let's turn the record off. The zoom in features here. Make it a little bit bigger. Both ways you've got the zoom there. And this is your waveform. What you can basically do now, again with the pointer tools back with MIDI, you've got the scissors tool. Say I don't like, I want to cut it in half. Okay, so let's cut a little bit in half. There we go. And now you can basically drag that little bit. Say this is a vocal line that is wrong, maybe the pitch is off or something, and this little word is correct. So you want to move it. So you can literally cut and move it to where you want. If maybe you're overlapping, as you can see that slightly overlapping, maybe you want that to overlap, you've got a tool here called the crossfade tool. If you just to click and drag over both things, over both different audios, you can create a little grey box that occurs, and basically it's going to crossfade both audios together. So if you've got a drum beat that maybe the snare is wrong, and that's the right snare, for example, it's a little bit off or a little bit off beat and you want to put it on beat, you can just crossfade them together and it'll make it more real and realistic. In Logic, you've also got the glue. Say now I'm happy with that and I want to make that a permanent feature. You've got the glue tool that you can basically glue, highlight both regions together, glue. It's going to say, would you like to create a new audio file? So you click create, and it's basically bounced that down to a little new audio file. It's now called test 101 merged instead of test 1.1. And you can see now that that new audio track is now all part of that track. So for example, I can now glue these two back together, click create, and now it's just made one whole track instead of, I don't know, if you've got a snare, you could have cut it down into 5 different pieces. You can glue them all back together at a later date. That's quite a little tip for you guys. Also, in your mix window, you've got lots of different inserts. For example, on the little vocals that I've just created, let's create a little loop that can go on here. So then highlight and drag. The green box is basically your loop. And let's play this back. Okay guys, this is just a little bit of a test. Going well. Thank you. Hopefully this is... Okay guys, this is just a little bit of a test. Going well, thank you. Okay, so you hopefully this is okay. Basically see that it's going to loop it round like that. It's a little great way to do. In the insert point is basically how you do all your editing, basically all your mixing. You've got some nice easy ones and some really hard complex ones that I will not go into detail right now. So for example, you've got your EQ, a nice little simple easy, you find a frequency that you like, you boost it, you find a frequency you don't like, you take it out. Basically, so let's have a quick listen through. Let's reset this and try and EQ my vocal. Okay guys, this is just a little bit of a test. Going well, thank you. Hopefully this is... Okay guys, this is just a little bit of a test. Going well, thank you. Hopefully this is... Okay guys, this is just a little bit of a test. Going well, thank you. Okay, obviously I've gone to a bit of extreme there, but obviously you can see that you've got all these different parameters down there. You can make it thicker, how much you want to scoop away, maybe you want to boost that frequency, so you just bring that up to plus. How much decibels do you want to boost that frequency? You can boost it up to 24 decibels or take away 24 decibels. So I mean, it's completely up to you how you mix. Also, you've got here, you've got a compressor. Maybe you want to put the compressor on. This is going to compress your vocal, or compress my vocal, should I say. And maybe you've got quiet parts with loud parts, you want to make it all the same. So obviously you can do that. Okay guys, this is just a little bit of a test. Going well, thank you. And you can see in the gain reduction, you've got actually gain reduction, which means you're compressing it. On the vocal, you should have probably about 3 to 5 decibels of gain reduction. The higher ratio you get, you can see in this diagram here how much it's changing. Obviously 1 ratio is doing nothing, and obviously 30 is as high as compress as you want, so you don't want to touch that whatsoever unless that's something that you're after. Basically a 30 is basically limiting. Okay, so you've got a little few tips there. Obviously in the mixing window, you've got tons. You've got speech enhancer, you've got reverb, you've got EQ, you've got delay, you've got distortion, you've got amps. You can put my voice through an amp. You can do whatever you want there. Finally guys, we're going to quickly have a look at bouncing down. This is something that is very important for you to do. So let's go up here to File, Bounce, or you can click the Bounce. Making sure you've got your region set, which means that you've got this green loop bar on, which basically means that's how much I want to bounce. So it's going to be this green bar is how much I want to bounce. So you click bounce. Where would you like to bounce it? Well, I want to bounce it in the desktop. I want to save it as test 1. So now you can save it as an MP3. You can save it as an MP4A. You can save it however you like. The main common one is an AIFF. For a CD, a standard CD quality, you want to change it to 16-bit. And the sample rate, you want to leave at 44.1 kilohertz. Obviously, depending on how much, if your interface will go down that low, or if you want to bounce that low, obviously you can change the parameters there. And one little trick, that if you've gone through hours and hours of mixing on this track, for example, say you want to turn the normalization off. You do not want your track to normalize. That will not help you whatsoever. Say is going to master. Say you're going to give your track to someone else to master. It's basically going to bring all of your levels up. So let's click bounce, and you can see as quickly as that's now just bounced that track down. Let's go to the desktop, and there is that track. So guys, this has been Dan Young. I hope this has helped you out. I'll see you in the future. Thank you.